All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of MovieByte podcast. This is your host Ruben, and with me, my brother in arms, the Russian. How you doing today, bro?
I'm good. Hello, everybody. We're back to kind of the normal duo format. We're gonna um, we're gonna try to not make a 2 hour podcast
Yeah,
yet. It's this is gonna be a nice, easy. Probably we're gonna give you 30, 45 minutes of
yeah. This is a easy one. This is a lighter one, not easy, but a lighter movie. No, not so deep in layers like 1917 was. Where you ranted for 40 minutes.
I would say this one has a lot more layers,
Yeah.
and it has a lot more um, better developed script and
So
a
before
screenplay.
before we begin, I just want to say thanks to all the 72 subscribers we have in our channel, and thanks for making our latest video, 1917, another 100 plus views video. I think we have probably like 5 episodes now that we've done that have more than 100 views. So if you're watching this podcast right now on YouTube, this is for you. Thank you so much. We do this podcast with no expectations at all. For us, it's more like a therapy thing, and it's nice to see that we have people out there that share our views or at least hit play and watch 5 minutes of it before they just move on to something else. So
Uh,
thank you to all of you from deeply from the bottom of our hearts. We
yeah,
appreciate
thank
the
thank you
support.
guys, thank you guys and girls. If any of our rants got you to be more excited about the movie you're about to watch or have watched, and it give you a little bit more perspective, and just maybe you enjoy it or rewatch it. That's pretty much what we're trying to do. Kind of we as Ruben pointed out, do this for mainly ourselves. We love movies. We will talk about movies anyway. Why not record it and put it out there? I mean, we're not
Yep.
looking into being the next big thing, um, but it's just kind of like to give you an idea. And we talk about movies that not too many people know maybe, and the majority of the movies are not like as mainstream. For example, today's podcast will be on a movie which started the career of a brilliant director, brilliant writer, Martin McDonagh. I'm
McDonagh. Yeah.
I'm always struggling with names.
I'm
That's
pretty sure that's how you say his last name. He's Irish, so he has a very Irish last name, if you might say. So what movie are we gonna be talking about? To my understanding, this is one of your top films that you enjoy watching a lot.
Yeah, like this movie came across to me as a quite surprise, because when I watched the trailer, it seemed like it's gonna be one of those like lock, stock, two smoking barrel type of movies, like a gangster, like fast paced something,
Yeah.
that's what you get from the trailer, and that's really not true about this movie. Just the backstory of the director, he comes from the theater background. From my understanding, I couldn't find out any information of him going to the art school. He just kind of dropped out of the school when he was 16, and then him and his brother just starting writing plays for the movie theater, for the theater. And he actually in the interview stated that it was like he really did not like theater as an art form. So for him to write in plays was really simple because he had no expectations. But film was really close to his heart as an art form. So when he wrote his first script, which was In Bruges, for the like the long, I guess, bigger movie. His first one was a short. It's I believe it's called Six
Six
Shooter.
shooter. Yeah, I just pulled it up. I was looking into him, and yeah, I see six shooter. So
Right.
his first short film. Yeah.
And going from the kind of background of writing plays where everything takes place on stage, you kind of go into a big movie production, and starting directing as well. I think that's a huge step. And like we talked last week about, well, it was also Mendes's first script, right? But the guy
Yeah.
did 20 years of movies before that, right? So to defend him as, and we're not gonna go talk about, we talked about 1913 for like an hour and a half, so not going that way, but just to state, hey, this is the guy who does first time big budget movie, first time writer, first time director, and this is the outcome, right? And you know, we're not going to be the judges of the movies on the grand scheme of things, right? Me and you, of course, we have our own opinions, and you know, we're strong and passionate about them. But if we like movies, or we like particular movie, or we dislike the particular movie, it doesn't mean that everybody else will do that. But looking at Rotten Tomatoes, looking at the IMDb, it's 7.9. It has, you know, more than 100,000 people rating it. So it's out there. It's a movie which it's kind of hard to define. It has the gangster elements. It has that backup, you know, of the story of that genre. But it's also not like you get into this world of you know, men who live by their principles, especially like the character like Harry, who kind of like he's a main antagonist of the story, and like his whole life is devoted to live or die by your principles, you know. And that's the thing that McDonagh kind of goes and like exploits in his future projects, which, you know, Seven Psychopaths, which was made, you know, 5 years afterwards, well, 4 years, and then you have the Billboards, the
three billboards out of Ebbing, Missouri,
which also, like, it took him 5 years in between Seven Psychopaths. So in the last 13 years, he only released 3 movies, right? And each one of them is unique in its own way. But if we kind of like look at it from the perspective of the story, right, the main thing which happens, which drives these characters to their, you know, kind of conclusion and to their resolution happens. We see the glimpse of it, but it happens like before, right? Before the movie starts. Like, same thing in 3 Billboards. Like the actual what caused these characters to like evolve, why those 3 billboards were put out, the story happens before.
It's really amazing because, you know, we're talking about him, and he is a Academy Award winning director. You know, he won best short film in 2006 for his 6-shooter. That was his short film winner, and ever since he's been nominated for best original screenplay twice, right, for In Bruges and 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, and then he was nominated for best motion picture of the year for 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which he was a favorite one, but that year someone else took the trophy. I can't remember who did. Shape of Water was the surprise that year. Okay, so Shape of Water won best motion picture of the year. We'll eventually do Shape of Water.
Why you do this to me?
I like Shape of Water.
Why you do this to me?
But like, how did you come across? You said you saw the trailer for this movie, and then you just gave it a shot.
Right, like I gave it a shot, and it was a surprise from the get-go. I remember like I missed a lot of dialogue, because the dialogue is like it's thrown to you at the speed of light, and especially for me, like not the native English speaker, like I need my subtitles. Like even nowadays, like even if the movie I've seen like 20 million times, well, that's exaggeration. You know, that's one of my sins. I'm bad with math. Which we're gonna get back to those. So to me, like I was driven to simplicity of the plot, but also I understood the complexity of the characters, you know, and it's hard to achieve 2 of those, right? Usually people try to create these complex you know, theories that they woven, and they put them on the paper, and then they put them on film, and you try to like figure these things out, like obviously Nolan does, you know. But here it's a very simple story. So just for those who haven't seen it, you know, and some of you guys, you just watch it just because, you know, you like his pretty face and my pretty voice. But just to recap you what happens here, we're talking about 2 hitmen, Ray and Ken. Ken is the older gentleman. He's been in the business for a while. They are both Irishmen. Originally, it was supposed to be Englishmen, but after casting 2 of these guys, and they're like, probably they tried to do the London accent, and they're like, nope, we're just gonna mark you like you're gonna be Irish hitman from now on, working in London. So Ray is played by Uh, Colin Farrell, a lot of people don't like him, but
He is very underappreciated.
I think like he's good at where he's cast at, and he's good at how he portrays characters. He does not have a lot of depth, and here is probably like one of the movies where his range shown the most. But that being said, it's we're not even close to like Leo, the Leo performances
I
and
mean,
stuff.
obviously, yeah, but I do
But
enjoy his films. Like, I really enjoy when he was in Fantastic Beasts and he plays the villain, and I found that was an amazing role that he played. It was a great
right.
character he played. Obviously, he's done bad movies. We got Daredevil with Ben Affleck where he played both
Hey, that's
sides.
your guilty pleasure. I
But
ain't gonna shit on that
it is
one.
my guilty pleasure too. But
Apparently, you have to watch the director's cut. It's
yes, you do.
oh yeah, with Ruben, it's always
Um,
the director's cut.
he's done SWAT, the version of the TV show
That was
movie
just a
with Samuel
cash grab.
Jackson. He actually did the
Miami
remake
Vice.
for yeah, Miami Vice. That was horrible.
Ugh.
Total Recall, the remake, that was horrible as well. So yeah, he hasn't had a good string, but he's really
Hey,
good when he does, like you said, small
Lobster,
projects.
Lobster, the
The Lobster.
Canadian
That's why I
Secret
say small
Spear.
projects, like
Like,
movies that fly under the radar,
and I
like
know
The
you're
Lobster.
gonna you're gonna disagree with me on this one, so I'm not. I'm just gonna bring it up out there. We can just close that. But True Detective second season was still he was good. It was good. Okay, it was watchable compared to what the shit they're putting out there on TV now. Like compared to the Game of Thrones season 8, the True Detectives season 2 was doable. It
I
was.
rather watch season 8 of Game of Thrones before I watch season 2 of
I
True
know your
Detective.
opinion on this one. I'm just
Yeah.
stating it out there.
All right. All
As
right.
many people, as many opinions. But going back to the story,
Yeah.
so we got Ken and Ray. They are kind of on a hideout trip to Bruges, which is the city in Belgium, which is one of the I would say like most preserved till this day, like these medieval cities with a lot of like old churches, old buildings, just the structure, just the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And actually, when the director went there on a trip himself, he said like for the first 2 days, those like museums and the churches and all the climbing and all of like it's overwhelming, it's beautiful, it's like gives you that sense of magnificent medieval town. But he said after 2 days he was like bored. He's like I was just wanted to get drunk every night.
Yeah.
So that's when he created these two characters in his head, right? So like how would this one aesthetic, culturally uh, cultural person who likes this stuff in a sense of in representation of Ken would deal with this. It's actually the character he used for Ray characteristic was the drunken slut. So it's bro, it's true. Like I did it
It's
up.
true.
It is true. Like
It
that's how
is.
he describes Colin Farrell character. He's a drunken slut. All right. So and how do these two first of all like end up in a city like this? So then it was the plot of two gangsters, two hitmen who did a hit. Well, Ray actually does the hit, and here spoilers alert. If you haven't seen the movie, stop, go watch it, come back. Um, Ray on his first job who has to execute the priest, but by shooting the priest, he accidentally kills a little boy.
Which I found, because they don't show you that till like halfway in the movie, right? And you're
About
thinking like,
35 minutes in, yeah.
yeah, and you're thinking like, well, they did something wrong, but obviously, you mentioned principles, and all hitmen live on the simple principle of no women, no children, right? Um, and maybe I missed it, but it never tells you that it was his first job until
It
it
does.
comes up in a
Oh,
conversation.
well, yeah, it does. It
But
brings.
it doesn't come up like early in the movie. You
No, no,
found
no,
out
no.
that's
Right.
his first job like late into the movie,
Yes,
and
yes, yes.
it makes even more sense of like why this character's so troubled throughout the movie and why he's
Right,
so like on the verge, like I'm gonna kill myself. I can't live with myself.
right.
Which I found very interesting how it's written that way, and then you find out, oh shit, he's a rookie, like late into the movie, and you even feel more empathy towards the character.
And I don't know if you missed it or not, but it's also stated that Ken or Brendan Gleeson character, he brings him to Harry. Like
Yeah.
it's his recruit.
Mm-hmm.
Because when they talked to like Harry was like, listen, the kid did this. I gave him Bruges. It's a fairy tale town. He
Yeah.
enjoyed it. but like we need to eliminate him, because if the buck does not stop with him, where does the buck stop?
Yeah.
And like Ken hesitates, and it's like, and Harry's like, where does the buck stuck with me, Harry? I know. So it's like it was my kind of like for Ken, it was his fault that, well, technically speaking, that he brought him in, and that's how it led. So there's this dilemma, which is both of them a deal with, right? And even though the Ken is a veteran, he still kind of like fights his own demons. Obviously, Ray, he fights his demons from the first minute we see him on the screen, and Harry is like this Grim Reaper in this purgatory. All right, that's how the In Bruges is set up. That's pretty much the purgatory where like these two characters await their destination,
their judgment,
faith, right?
Yeah.
And Grim Reaper in this scenario is our antagonist, technically speaking, Harry. But if you look from the perspective of the characters, all the characters in the movie, I think we already talked about this at some point, where there's no good characters. Like there's no good people, technically speaking. Even Chloe, she sells drugs.
Even
drugs
the midget
to midgets, and then he dopes him with the ketamine. And
the dwarf. They don't like to be called midgets.
Listen, at this we can't be politically correct on this one. Like
I just found that hilarious in the movie. It's like, yeah, they like to be called dwarfs. He's like, dwarf.
That's why they want to kill themselves,
I love that part in the movie. That in the script, that statistic that he keeps bringing out through the movie, like, oh yeah, midgets tend to kill themselves. Midgets that are movie stars, the midget from Fantasy Island, off themselves, and the midget from the Time Bandits off themselves. And
he's like, I have to look it up. There's one more famous midget who I keep forgetting, and they never bring that up. But like, I'm sure.
Yeah, I had to look it up, and it's true. Like, there's an actor
somewhere like shaking his head.
Yeah, there's an actor in the Time Bandits movie by Terry Gilliam who his name is David Rappaport. He was a dwarf or midget, and he did kill
little
himself.
People. Let's call him little people.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, he killed himself. So it's not like a little like something to write about. It's actually something that did happen when you're listening to this. So yeah, but moving on. So we're talking about there's no good person in this entire movie. Every single character in this movie has some sort of demon or some sort of trouble or their trouble in general.
It's a movie filled with sinners. That's simply put, right? And one thing to kind of, I brought it up, but like just to mention it again, and this is not mine, obviously. I've ripped it off of the Reddit thread, and a nerd writer, I believe, his YouTube name, he also mentioned it in his essay. Really good stuff. That little boy has a piece of paper which states his 3 sins, right? And the sins are that being moody, being bad at math. Oh, it's actually being bad at maths. I don't know if that's right correction. I believe you should say being bad at math, not maths. But correct me if I'm wrong. And the last one is being sad, right? And these are pretty much like 2 obviously main threats of our main character of Ray. Like he's always moody, and he's sad like throughout the entire movie. And like I think the most brilliant description about this movie in one sentence was done by the director himself, and he said it's a mix of gunshots and tears. So like this is the whole movie. It's like it's either people shooting people or people crying and they or having conversations which are really deeply saddened. So Ray is sad, Ray is moody, and Ray is bad at math because, well, he was supposed to kill 1 person, but he killed 2. So yeah, and that's the thing about like the attention to details. Like you mentioned that the stuff about the little people that tend to commit suicide. Really bad thing. Again, if you have any thoughts, please seek help. Every little thing in this movie is so detail oriented, and that's what shows out the brilliance of how you tend to at the end of the day, like when you finish this movie, you kind of tend to forget that Trey murdered a little boy. Like you feel for him. You kind of like want him to live. You kind of want him to be happy. You kind of want him to get redemption, and that's only can be accomplished when you show this flawed character, and he's flawed on so many levels, right?
Mhm.
You if we start like just like naming like Ray as a character, right? He's a racist, okay? Because there's a lot of black jokes which were
Yeah,
inappropriate in 2008 and they're inappropriate
they're
today,
still inappropriate now. Yeah,
right? And there's obviously jokes about little people. He's pretty much just like trying to get laid. He's kind of like a spoiled rude kid, right? He's homophobic, like he makes a lot of like gay
yeah,
jokes.
yeah. The whole gay beer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gay beer,
yeah,
right? So and then like he's just self-indulgent, like he's like, I want to just go get drunk, I want to get late and try to forget what I have done. But
hmm
every morning it catches up to him, like every time that he looks in the mirror or he remembers that part of humanity comes out of him. So it's a deeply imperfectionist, non-perfect character who still gets sympathy out of the viewer.
yeah.
What do you did you get that vibe, or how do
So
you like, how is that for you, like what's
so I saw this movie a long time ago, and I totally forgot about it until I watched it this past weekend, right? And like when you first are introduced to Ray, again, the character played by Colin Farrell. I agree with you. You see him as this immature. You have two hitmen, a very young one and the old one, and obviously, like the older one's like the veteran, or the more mature one, like the leader of them too, right? And the other one, like Colin Farrell's like, why are we fucking staying in Bruges? Like, this is a shithole. Like, why can't we go somewhere else? Like, why do we have to wait for 2 weeks, right? And then you see this character, like again, he's like thinking about himself. He doesn't want to do anything that Ken wants to do. No, he wants to, hey, Harry told us to sightsee. Let's go some sightseeing. He's like, I don't want to do that. I just want to get drunk and get laid, and hopefully we can get a call from Harry soon, and we can get out of this hellhole, right? But that's on like the first night, right? And then, like you said, like each day that they spend more time in Bruges, he starts to like feel more guilty for what he did, and you start like seeing another side of this character in the movie, and you start, because like I'll tell you this, like the first time I saw the character and it's introduced to me, I was like, this guy's a fucking asshole. Like I did not like him until they present to you what he did, and you start feeling like, oh, wait a minute, I kind of now understand why he's like that, or why he's like the way he is. And you start creating this empathy towards him, and you start even getting an empathy towards Ken, again played by the magnificent Brendan Gleeson. Um, it's a movie that has at least two to three different layers when you're watching it, because you're first introduced to these characters and you're thinking, I'm in for a ride. I'm going to see a comedy about two hitmen taking a break from a job on a town that nobody knows about, and they don't want to be there, right? And it's going to be like, maybe they're going to get into like trouble for like, but then the movie starts progressing, and you start seeing a different type of movie. You start seeing a little bit more of a drama movie. You start getting to know these characters, a little bit of background for both of them. And then the third act involves, and it shifts us again into a different type of genre, though, because they introduce you to Harry, like physically, because all this time you only hear him on the phone, and they introduce him to you as a character, and it's played by the great Ralph Fiennes from the whoever seen his work, Voldemort from the Harry Potter movies and
Schindler's List?
Schindler's List. He's the new M in the new James Bond movies. And he's you can tell, oh shit, this is the bad guy. He wants Ray dead for what happened, and he wants Ken to take care of it. It's like, this is your mess, take care of it, or I'm gonna fucking fly there in Bruges and I'm gonna take care of it, and you don't want me to do that, right? So again, obviously things happen. No, Ken feels guilty. He wants to protect the kid. He wants to give the Ray another chance. So what he does, he puts him on a train. Like, hey, Mike, look, get away, disappear for a couple of years. When the tide is low, come back. And he thinks like, boom, problem solved from that part. Now I have to deal with Harry. But then he gets arrested in the train for
You
hitting a
hit the
Canadian
Canadian.
tourist, and he ends up back in
I
Bruges.
hit the Canadian?
And like, it's a movie that has a never ending, there's no resolution to any of these characters' problems. You know? And I feel bad for the way that, again, spoiler alert, like how Ken dies. I'm not gonna say how that way. I'll leave that mystery for the viewer, but how
I'm gonna say how he dies.
Well, you're gonna say it, but I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna ruin the movie for you, but he will. But how he dies to get Ray to like try to give him another second chance to live. Like, hey.
Well, he tries to give him a gun, but like
but the way he needs to get that gun,
he needs to jump off the building. Okay.
So it's a movie that has, I would say, at least 3 layers minimum, or if you can identify more, it gives you that opportunity. It's not just a comedy. We're talking about comedy, drama / thriller, because that third act just gets you on the edge of your seat because you don't know if you want to root for Ray or Ken or even Harry.
Harry he's a man of code. He's a man of principle. He explains, if I would kill a little child, I would F myself on the fucking spot, which he does.
He does. Spoiler alert, he does. That's it is. I mean,
but he kills a little person who is dressed as a schoolboy.
Look, as sad as that is, I found that like the little like nudge of funny into the script. I'm like, he thought it was a kid, but it's actually a little person dressed in a kid's uniform. And the way that Ray plays him, because he knows he's a man of, and that's what I love from that part, because Ray knows that Harry is a man of principle. So what he's going to do, he's going to stand in front. He's going to enter this movie set that they're filming a movie in Bruges where he met the little person actor, and he knows he's stressed as a kid, and he's going to like say out loud, I think what he says, the little kid.
He's like, it's not. He tries to say it's not a little kid.
It's not a kid, but he only comes out little kid, something like that.
It doesn't. I mean, it's like if you watch it, he kind of,
because I understood he said little kid or something like that. I didn't get the not a little kid.
Well, no, he says a little kid, and then he tries to say not, and then like it's,
and that's when like Harry's like shooting and emptying the gun on him.
Right.
Yeah. And obviously Harry can't tell because
half of the face
the
is
bullets
gone.
Rip the face off of the little person, and you can't identify him. So all he sees is this little boy's uniform. So he automatically assumes like, oh shit, I killed the kid, and I'm a man of principle. So he goes, pulls the trigger, and a gun to his mouth, and he's off himself, right?
And at that point, Ray is bleeding with 4 bullet holes.
Yeah, and he speaks to the audience and in an off-camera dialogue, and it's a fade to black, right? And then,
well, there's a last line of this movie, and this is how you end up a well-written script. Okay, we talked about how you end up the bad one last week, and this is how you end the good one. He says, "I really, really hoped I wouldn't die." So hoped in the past and wouldn't in the future. And that's how McDonagh brings down the words to the audience, right? It's you have to decide
if he's alive or not.
Right. Is he telling you this story from the future where I really hoped I wouldn't die, so he didn't die? Or is he, telling you that I hoped I wouldn't die, but I did?
And I really like that because I watched this movie with my wife. It's her first time watching it, and she enjoyed it. So it was something different for her. And the first thing, whenever we finished watching the movie, the first thing she's like, "So he died?" And I told her, like, well, I think they leave that to your interpretation. Right? You decide if he lives or not.
You, it's for you as a viewer to decide. Do you forgive Ray for what he did, or do you do you like drag him to,
drag him down to hell. Like
right,
he committed a sin. He
right.
killed a kid. Like he needs to pay for his.
And
So
that's the same thing. Like we're not gonna put the spoilers out there for the Three Billboards, but it's the same kind of like you as a viewer are let with the question. Like McDonagh, he challenges our morals. Like not too many directors, not too many writers go after that anymore because it's not popular.
yeah,
Everybody wants to make a fucking another Marvel
and
movie.
you just got to know how to do it too. You got to know how to write a
Absolutely.
story to be able to do that. And like you said, I think McDonagh just does a great job.
And bring the wonderful director Mendes into this American Beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Same fucking questions, just in a different view.
Yeah.
But that's the thing about In Bruges. It's you don't know what it is. Like you don't know if it's a comedy, even though I laugh, even though I've seen this movie so many times. There's still a giggle somewhere. Like delivery lines, the lines themselves, the like situational comedy. When Brendan Gleeson goes to bathroom to do coke and comes back into the frame, bro. Like it's a look, it's priceless. It's Rain Ken like
Yeah.
I don't know how they pulled that off. And that's like the first 45 minutes. It's a very like good setup. The first act is just like putting parts in play, like setting up for these characters, right?
Yeah.
The second is just a comedy. It's straight up like a laugh out loud comedy. And then the third act, it kicks off with the drums. It kicks off with the electric guitar.
Yeah.
That chase scene, that soundtrack, it just pins you to the edge of your seat. And it's like it's shifting gears. Like you started off this like slow drama, slow burn, and you have like this comedy element in it, and then you got this action sequence which is fantastic. And as Harry says to the Marie, the owner of the hotel, it's like, this is the shootout. Just be quiet, like go relax. And to me, that's the brilliance of In Bruges, where a first time director and a writer for the for the movie puts his work on paper, and 12-13 years later we still talk about it, we still digest it, we break it down to ourselves to try to understand how wonderful it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what movies supposed to do. To me, this is why they are created. This is why we go out there and we dig. And funny enough, then I tried to see some reviews on YouTube, and there's not too many people talk about this movie. So hopefully, like, you guys will give it a shot, give it a try. I know it's on Peacock. I think you may get the free trial for it. I'm not sure, Ruben.
I honestly don't know, but it is on Peacock, and
it's been on Netflix all the time. It's
and
pops off on platforms.
Yeah, I know HBO had it for a while as well. And it's so what? So let me ask you this: Do you think Ray died, or do you forgive him?
I do not. I'm in this movie. I'm Harry.
So you think you got to live by your principle, no matter what you did, you have to pay for the price.
Unfortunately, if there's no man like Harry, the whole fucking thing will unravel, and we're gonna have snowflakes flying all over the place.
Harry's like the balance. He's like, so we have Ken. Ken is like
Ken is like the guardian angel. He's like,
give him a second
forgiven.
chance. No,
he's like, and the funny scene, another it's like. He says to Ray, he's like, Ray, you can go out there, you can save in the next one, right? And the Ray's like, what am I gonna do? Become a doctor? Too many exams. And it's like, even in the like this hypothetical scenario, fucking Ray's like, what am I gonna do? Be a doctor? Too many exams. Like
too many fucking exams.
It like the movie, it has the punch for punch. Like the comedy usually, like you watch something, something funny, and it's funny once, it's maybe funny twice, but like you don't rewatch the comedy for humor.
Yeah.
This movie, it will get you every single time. There will be a joke which you forgot it's there, right? Either it's gonna be you guys are not going up there, the scene. You're the rudest man. Like everybody who's seen it, they will know the line, and or the line about I'm not gonna be lectured, but by two coked up hookers and a midget, like, and a racist dwarf.
The racist. Oh, bro, that whole scene, that
Dude.
conversation, like the blacks versus whites, and he just keeps poking the bears. Like,
Where
so
the Pakistanians are with the blacks. Oh, I'm definitely on the. I'm definitely fighting with. What about Vietnamese? The blacks. If they got the Vietnamese,
yeah,
like Jesus Christ.
I'm definitely fighting for the blacks. It's
Dude, it's and where in this wonderful dilemma do I stand? And we get the backstory how Ken got in depth with Harry.
yeah.
There's actually supposed to be a scene where Harry beheads a person who killed Ken's wife.
I read about that. Yeah.
But they cut it out because McDonagh said like it's the decapitation scene. He didn't film it himself. Was not up to his par or up to his standards.
Yeah, I feel like maybe it would have probably give a movie a different tone. I think the movie is great just how it is.
There's apparently 128 uses of word "fuck" in that movie, which
I believe that probably half of those come from Colin Farrell and Ralph Fiennes.
Well, yeah, like it's dude, his message that he leaves to the fucking
he curses a lot.
yeah, your friend, and I'm not the
I'm not the
receptionist. I own this with my husband.
I own this, yeah. Why?
And again, attention to detail, and I just wanted to like put that. I kind of brought it up, but I never like backed it up with anything. When Harry calls Ken and asks him like if Ray is there, and he's like, "No, Ray's in the toilet. Is he doing a poo or wee?" Like,
yeah.
Why do you need to know? Tell him to go to the pub, and Ken starts creating this story like, "Hey, Ray, go." I don't know if there's bowling alleys. It's like it's so elaborate. Like if you want to create a lie, like make the believable one, right? And it's this is the lie woven in front of us, and then we're like, that makes sense. Like if I would be on the other side of this phone call, I would have believed this, right?
Yeah.
Next time, like we talked about the jump scene where the Ken has to like deliver the message that Harry is in town and he's hunting for Ray, is when he has to jump off this building of this I guess it's a church or tower of this tower. And before he jumps, he pulls up the money out of his pocket, and the money it's exactly €4.90 because we know it.
Yeah.
In the previous scene, he tries to get this money to the guy who collects the
entry.
Gives
is
up the tickets.
€5,
and the entrance to that building is €5. So Ken never gets rid of those euros. But now he has to jump, and it's foggy, and people down below cannot see him.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of like being or create another accidental, maybe death or injury, he drops the coins in order for them to make the noise for the public to kind of give the room for landing. Like that detail alone just tells you like there has been a lot of thought to create this just insignificant moment. Not like in that fucking other movie where you leave the bucket of milk just because it's fucking convenient. All right. Anyway, so details, pay attention to details. Like everything here, you cannot go back. Maybe like the only thing I can go back and I say like, nah, it's kind of like one thing I would say like did not sold me off is when Ken is supposed to execute Ray, and he walks to him with the
playground, the park,
the gun pointed, and then like he decides not to shoot him, and Ray pulls up his own gun where he tries to shoot himself, and in that moment, like Ken like realizes, no, I'm not gonna kill you, I'm gonna save you. I mean, yes, it can happen, but it's again, it's one of those like if I have to pick something out of this and say, it was just. That story needed to go that route in order for us to
because I think the movie would have ended at that point if he kills him.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. So and it does not give you like because we have a prior conversation with Ken and Ray where they like, hey, listen, like because Ray is really troubled about like his situation and what afterlife looks, and especially in the town like Bruges, where like everywhere you look there's a Catholicism and resemblance of
Yeah, the medieval
the
times.
presence
Yeah,
of God and the presence of crime and punishment, and here you have Ray who committed one of the crimes where you are gonna be punished by going to hell, which I mean, yes, Ray, I'm sorry to say it, but accidents or not, your actions led to this
yeah.
situation.
I like the reference that In Bruges it's purgatory, because it makes completely sense.
Right. So
Yeah,
just to back up my claim, so people don't be like, oh, the Russian left the unraveled thought not connected.
yeah,
Um, Ray asks him, "Hey, do you believe in purgatory? Do you believe in afterlife? Do you believe in hell?" And Ray says, "No." So here we can play devil's advocate, saying, does Ray like says does Ken say that to Ray because he wants to give him a little bit of easy kind of like way out and not to think about it, or does he really not believe? It's never kind of answered. Um, but like I feel like somebody like Ken, he would be religious. Like he would not enjoy going through these kind of adventures in Bruges and seeing these sightseeings and like touching the blood of Christ, or the cloth which was used to wipe off the blood of Christ, and then it was like transport, and that's actually a relic which actually exists, which is
hmm
the true thing. Um, if he wouldn't really believe, so to me, it's more like if I have to like pick a side, I would be like Ken lies there saying he does not believe. I'm pretty sure he believes, and he knows he's going to hell because he killed a lot of people. A lot of, like he explains, a lot of bad people, except for the lollipop man who knows karate. What the fuck is the lollipop doing knowing karate? like like the lines in the movie are just, you can repeat every third line in the movie is just brilliant and is repeatable and is iconic. But to kind of answer my own question, which I always create since Ruben stopped asking questions about 20 minutes ago, feels like I'm carrying the show on my own
you pretty
shoulders.
much answer them all on your own, so that's why I just let you do your thing.
Right? We did not get Matt Graham involved here because he was the one who was throwing the grenades into my theories and punching holes like a fucking Swiss cheese that sometimes my theories are. But here I think like movie still works with even with that little me nitpicking apart, but I don't think a lot of viewers would have a complaint about it. I think by that point we see that Ray understands what he did. He wants to take his own life for what he did, because to him that's the answer at that moment, right?
Yeah,
And for order for us, for the audience, and for him to have a resolution at the end, he says, if I live through this, if I survive, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the mother of this kid and I'm gonna tell her what happened, and whatever punishment she decides for me to have, either it's death or life, is sent, prison, like I'm gonna be willing to take that. And that's our arc of this character, who was childish, who did not want to take any kind of responsibilities for any of his actions, who was just narcissist, racist, and homophobic. At the end, he is like, this is the first step to growth that I would have, and
yeah,
and obviously without all of these events, this he would turn, like, this is my prediction, without these events, Ray would turn into Harry at some point of his life, because there's a parallel between Harry and Ray which is just groundbreaking. First of all, which we have not discussed yet, so I'm going to bring it up so I don't forget, both of these two gentlemen call themselves a normal person. In which
yeah.
which fucking world would two of those would be normal people in their
Okay,
own
I see.
fucking
Yeah,
world,
I mean
right?
they're two hitmen, and they consider themselves normal. Yeah, I got what you're
Right,
saying.
because Ray repeats it constantly. He's like, one gay beer for my gay friend and one normal beer for me normal, right?
Yeah,
And then he repeats it constantly through time and time in the movie. And then the same thing, that when Harry arrives to Belgium, he also states as, I'm a normal person. Like, as a normal person would do, he would have like killed himself, right, in that scenario. So like the this little, and McDonagh, he does not do shit like that. He does not write things for these characters just for the shits and
Yeah.
giggles. Like he puts emphasis, and he's a creator who does his magic with words, right? If Nolan does his magic with cinema, with twists and
Yeah.
with camera movement and all of that, then, well, I mean, not to take anything away from Dark Knight, fantastic script, but just saying that McDonagh in this type of movie, in this type of script, like he leaves clues, like he leaves something for us to go and pick apart and kind of make our own suggestions and make our own narrations about what we see and how we view the movie. So
Yeah.
to me, like if Ray would not shot the little kid, he at the end of his life would be like Harry. He would be living by his principles. He would still be homophobic. He would still be a fucking racist, and he would be living by that code. So that's kind of like my take on what the arc of the character represents, and as we can tell by the narration of Brendan Gleeson, where he says, "Harry, you a cunt. You always been a cunt. You're gonna fucking die a cunt, right?
Yeah.
And you're gonna bring some more cunt kids into life." And then he goes like, whoa, man, that's too much. You better,
Yeah. Don't bring my kids into this
don't bring
conversation.
my fucking cunt kids into this.
Yeah.
Retract that bit.
You crossed the line.
Right. And he's like, okay, I'm retracting that bit. I should shoot you right now.
Yeah, that was funny.
And that's Harry. He already is the man that he is. He's an inanimate fucking object of this movie. Like he cannot be changed. Right?
Yeah. I mean, and you see it in the end, you know. He follows his word. He broke his code, and you know, he paid. He's like, I need to pay for my sins.
And yeah, so it's a little bit of everything. We didn't even discuss, like there's a romance also in here where, you know, Ray and Chloe, that's the character played by Clementine Posey.
Clemens Posey.
Clemens Posey. Her latest appearance was in Tenet.
Yeah. And she has also been in the Harry Potter movies.
Yes. If we talk about secret crushes, which I can, you know, make not.
I know that's your girl right there.
She is phenomenal, and she is what I call like natural beauty. She's like typical European gorgeousness. Like it's, to me, that's if I ever get ever married, like that's, you know, Clemens, if you hear this, I'm just kidding. Anyway, there's a scene in this movie which melts my heart, and I sent you that scene before, is when he asked for, you know, for her to go on a date with him.
Yeah.
He kind of laughs it off, and she's walking away, and he's like, "Oh fuck, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, I failed." And she kind of flicks her fingers, and the her card drops with her phone number. And I mean, talking about hopeless romantic, like to me, that if the girl ever done anything like that, even though, you know, I'm considering myself asexual, which we're not gonna go into any details like that, but that's one scene. And the next scene she does when Eric, which was her ex-boyfriend, who gets shot in the eye by the blank by Ray.
Yeah.
When he's kind of like moving, and Ray and Chloe sitting at the table, and she kind of like does one of those gestures, like kind of like inviting, I can't even mimic it, but she's like inviting him to come over.
Yeah.
It's just something like so bizarrely brilliant about her movement in that movie, which melts my heart. So and you know, it's
and
like
she gives you the sense of hope when you're looking at this character and you see her with Ray. She gives you that hope that you're looking for this character, and you're like, you know what, maybe this movie's going to end up with him being with her, and you know, and everything's gonna be a happy ending. But if there's one thing you don't know about Martin McDonagh, he doesn't make movies with a happy ending.
No, he doesn't.
He
There's no
doesn't.
happy beginnings either. Like
Nope.
there's and I'm looking forward to kind of follow his career, like everything he has done so far. It's only three, but those are three brilliant movies,
Great
and
movies.
each
Great
one of
movies.
them are in
Hmm.
its own kind of like heavy hitter category. And a lot of directors, they make these movies over and over, and they either hit or miss, and then we start forgetting about them. But this guy,
He just knows how to write characters,
he
and
takes his time.
yeah, and he let the characters just drive that story. It's not like other writers where you see that they force the story on the characters, and that normally doesn't play well. It's you create a great character, and you let the character drive your story. That's what makes a great storytelling. And you made a great example, American Beauty. You know, hopefully, it's a movie we'll get to do eventually in long term, but it's a movie that has characters that you just watch them on the screen, and the story just drives itself with them.
Right. Well, we're
Like the
not going to do
story's
any
not
spoilers,
forced.
because if we start talking about American Beauty, I will
But
start another rant.
so final thoughts on this movie. What are your final thoughts on this movie before we
Um,
wrap up?
like it's one of those for me which I can rewatch and rewatch, and it does not get old. Obviously, I'm not going to do it like every other week, but I definitely recommend giving it a shot for everybody who loves movies. It's not your typical, you know, go happy, be lucky movie. It has a message. It has a meaning. It's heavy at sometimes, but it has a beautiful comedic relief if you give it a shot,
Yeah,
if you give it a chance to be funny. And it's I don't want to say it's a masterpiece, but it's there.
it's there.
To, to,
I agree with you. It's not a masterpiece, but given the work of this director, which his last film was Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri,
which
and
could very be a masterpiece.
that's why I was going with it. That is so far right now to date his masterpiece.
His
A
masterpiece, yes.
it's a multiple nomination movie. It's an award-winning movie. Frances McDormand is amazing in it. Sam Rockwell is amazing in it. To date, that will be his masterpiece.
Right.
This
And
movie,
you can't really like compare the acting to like
no,
in Three
completely different
Billboards.
movie.
They take it to the level
Yeah,
where I don't think, and not to say anything to these guys, like they're doing the best they can
yeah,
at what you're given, but like it's not the same caliber, and that's what like sometimes it sucks where you talk about the movie and everything works in it, but like and you
yeah.
believe the actors. There's nothing wrong, but it's just there's
And
just
he
this
has done, like you
hurdle.
said, three movies, and I feel like each movie gets better with him. So we have In Bruges, who flew under the radar. It's one of those
It's
movies
still
that
under the radar. I don't think a lot of people know it. I
yeah,
don't think a lot of people talk
yeah,
about
I
it.
agree. I don't think a lot of people
And
know about this movie. They probably skim it through Netflix or now Peacock, and they're like, let's move on. I don't know
but
what that
it's
movie's
yeah,
about.
and the trailer ain't gonna tell you anything about it, and
Yep.
the poster ain't gonna tell you. The poster looks ridiculous. If
Mhm.
we have
You,
the
you
worst
exactly.
poster
You never expect
nomination,
the movie
like
you
what
watch
the
by just looking at the poster.
right?
But what I'm trying to go is that he did In Bruges, and after
Yep.
In Bruges, he followed up with Seven Psychopath, which is an up in a way and like a slight upgrade off In Bruges. A lot more characters. We're talking about seven characters in that movie, and the story just drives with them. And then 5 years later, he has Three Billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri, which today, like I said, it's one of his best work, and I can't wait to see what's next for him. Hopefully, he just slings another movie under the radar for us, and we're like, oh shit, that's the guy from In Bruges or Three Billboards.
Right.
So if you have the opportunity, check the movie out. It is available on Peacock. I'm sure you can do a 7-day trial and catch a glimpse of it. Totally worth it. It's a movie that did won. Colin Farrell did win Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Comedy Movie. Brendan Gleeson was also nominated with him, and it was nominated for Best Original Screenplay in the Golden Globes and in the Oscars, which he was nominated, right? Um, definitely check it out. It's one of those movies that you think it's a comedy but ends up being something else, and it's totally worth it. It's an hour and 40 minutes long, and it goes by, it doesn't drag, which is what I enjoyed about it. So yes, check out In Bruges. It's a movie that nobody knows. Hopefully this podcast and our 100+ viewers that we currently have that watches our show, like, spread the word and give this movie a chance. It's amazing. You know, it's probably one of Colin Farrell's top work out there, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
So next week, I've been wanting to do this movie since we started this podcast because we're gonna go heavy again, but I'm really excited. We're gonna do next week. We're gonna do 2019's Best Picture award winner, Best Foreign Film Award winner, Parasite by Boon Joon-ho from South Korea. Very famous director writer. He directed Snowpiercer and wrote Snowpiercer, and he's done other amazing work. And I am excited to do this because this movie, if we talked about layers in this movie, Parasite it's like an onion. It's layer after layer, and like the technicality of it, the story of it, and the characters of it just drives this movie. And I'll explain to you the reason why this movie was the Best Picture award winner, beating 1917 and Joker as the top contenders to win that award. And it caught everybody by surprise, but I'll show you why. And so that will be the next week's movie.
As salty as I once was, but yeah, I'm glad that I watched Parasite before the Oscars came out. I think you did too.
Yeah,
I got you to watch it because I remember, like, first minutes in, I texted you like,
yeah,
listen, this is probably the best 40 minutes, and I still stand by it. I think
I'm excited. I'm really gonna go deep in this movie. Hopefully it doesn't turn out, but it might be.
The floor will be yours. Hopefully we'll get some. Well, if we get somebody else to come along,
we'll see. We'll see. If not, we'll just rock this, you and I, like we've been doing.
The perfect deal.
But yeah, so next week we'll do Parasite in our next movie bite. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you can.
I'll make you. I'll find you.
Comment on our videos. Share feedback. If you see us, for all of our friends who are watching this, just let us know how we're doing. If there's a movie
a
you
lot
want
of
to
people
do,
who came up to us and let us know. Like, we really appreciate. We take it. We take all the constructive criticism and we try to develop this as much as we can. Again, this is our side project. We all have 40-hour jobs. You know, it takes
this
long.
This is just for fun. If you want to be part of this, just join us. We'll talk about the movie you want, and we'll make it fun. But again, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
And we will see you next week.